Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau. For nearly a century, Farm Bureau has been a friend of the farm for all Virginians. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy, brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Here's what's coming up on this week's show. Virginia's top export crop gets smarter. Black garlic boasts bold flavors. And first-generation farmers are building new legacies in this week's County Close-Up.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Featherstone Farm in Amelia County, where the Whittington family grows endless acres of soybeans. Burke Moeller has more on how Virginia farmers are benefiting from the latest research on the state's top export crop.
It may be surprising for some to learn that soybeans are Virginia's top agricultural export. Researchers at Virginia Tech are studying soybeans for new ways to make growing them more profitable for farmers while still providing a great source of nutrition for consumers everywhere. Dr. Carrie Ortell is an agronomist at Virginia Tech's Tidewater Agricultural Research and Extension Center in Suffolk and is studying the many applications of soybeans.
When we think of soybeans, some of us may think of tofu or edible soybeans, but that's just a small proportion of Virginia soybeans that are grown. We're growing soybeans for animal feed primarily, but we're also growing soybeans for industrial uses. So we have tires made out of soybeans. We have roofing shingles made out of soybeans.
There's also soy foam, a new tool being developed for firefighters that could be used instead of the chemical-based foams that are common in firefighting today.
That's a soybean product that we're really excited about seeing on the market.
Virginia Tech's soybean agronomy program exists to help the Commonwealth soybean farmers grow more successful crops. Last year, program participants identified 4 top research priorities: official variety testing for full-season and double-crop soybean systems, planting recommendations for full-season soybean production, improving the in-season diagnostic tools for potassium deficiencies, and other major yield-limiting challenges identified by Virginia stakeholders. Dr. Ortell's research includes studying how to avoid potassium deficiencies in soybean plants.
Potassium is one of the macronutrients needed for soybean production and soybean health, so it's highly important for water regulation. So when we have drought stress or disease stress, having enough potassium and all other nutrients is going to help your soybean crop really thrive in those conditions, and it's going to give it that boost. So when we're potassium deficient, a lot of times we're going to have worse drought stress and more disease pressure because of that deficiency.
Dr. Ortell says one of her team's goals is to improve their ability to diagnose potassium deficiencies during the growing season so that farmers can apply a potassium fertilizer before the growing season comes to an end. An increasingly popular way to apply that fertilizer is with drones.
Aerial spray drone technology is gaining a lot of momentum, and growers have a lot of interest in knowing more about these technologies and how they can get training and how they can use, especially the row crop growers like who are growing soybean, corn, and cotton.
Singh recently presented drone applications for farmers at the Tidewater AREC and gave a demonstration of a targeted spray in a crop field. Drones have been used in agriculture for decades, but recent years have seen striking improvements in battery life, making them a practical tool for many soybean farmers.
We have hybrid drones. Hybrid drones means we can use it on the gasoline plus battery. So they can run for hours and hours. Even with the battery operated drone, and if you think like these are limited in terms of the power and in terms of covering the whole acreages, we can use these drones to spray 30 acres in 1 hour.
Weeds are a common enemy to soybean farmers. Dr. Singh's students are using photography and artificial intelligence technology to take on the age-old problem of weeds.
My students, they built an app where you can upload the imagery and they can, the system can identify those weeds.
Compared with traditional farm equipment, Dr. Singh says drones have been shown to do a better job in taking out weeds that are mature. Not only are the results better, but drones use less of the herbicides that treat weeds with greater precision than traditional methods, allowing for targeted spraying only where needed and reducing costs for farmers.
At a very late stage, or when the weeds are 1 feet tall or 1.5 feet tall, normally we see less than 80% control with the tractor sprayers. However, with drones, they are still providing us a great control.
The latest research into growing the best soybeans was on display at this year's Virginia Ag Expo at Brook Farms in Orange County. Soybeans are only one of the many crops grown on the land. The annual event is partly run by the Virginia Soybean Association. This year's soybean crop is looking good to many farmers, and they're looking forward to harvest in the months ahead.
Soybean farmers in Virginia, they are doing an excellent job. They are growing a great crop so far across the state this year. We've got a really good crop growing. We've had good weather conditions. My hope is that they are able to take some of the information and data from these trials and take that back to their farm to make the best educated decisions about planting dates, about variety selection, nutrient management, those types of decisions that they're faced with every day. Give them some unbiased data to help them with those decision-making processes.
In Suffolk, Virginia, I'm Burke Moeller for Real Virginia.
Soybeans are legumes and grow inside a pod. When the plant turns brown and the leaves drop off, it's time to harvest. Soybeans are also helpful for crop rotation because they deposit nitrogen, which can be useful when planting other crops. Soybeans are taken from the farm in hopper trucks, which can carry 1,000 bushels, weighing 60,000 pounds. Many of these trucks arrive at Virginia ports to be shipped to countries across the globe.
I'm Ed Olson with From the Ground Up. Today we're going to be talking about red hibiscus, also known as sorrel or roselle. Stay with us.
Red hibiscus, sorrel, roselle. It goes by many names, but this vibrant plant is more than just a pretty bloom. It's a staple in teas and traditional dishes around the world. Ed Olson with Virginia Cooperative Extension helps us sort out the science and stories behind this garden favorite from the ground up.
We're here today with John Bryant at Old Tavern Farm in Quinton, Virginia. And we're talking about an emerging crop that homeowners can grow themselves. It's called either red hibiscus, sorrel, or roselle. John, can you talk to us about what we've got going on here behind us, this beautiful looking green plant right now?
Okay, this is what, and as Ed said, is most commonly referred to around here in the United States as roselle or even hibiscus. However, most of the world calls it sorrel. So I may refer to it more as that as I've come to know it. But we've been growing sorrel now for 7 or 8 years. It is a long season crop. We typically plant it in the greenhouse from seed starting in early March, with the goal of transplanting it out to the field sometime in mid-April. And that might be a little bit early for it, but what we found, because it is daylight dependent and needs a certain number of daylight hours to form its buds and calyxes, which is what we use to make hibiscus tea from, is the earlier we can get it out, the more success we're likely going to have for it. It's a wonderful and a unique crop. And as I said, it's most commonly known for these deep red burgundy calyxes that are used to make the tea. However, as I've been growing it and I've met more people from South America and the Caribbean and West Africa, India, nations that are much more familiar with this and use it regularly as a staple in their culinary diet, there's many uses for it. And one are the leaves. There was a woman and her daughter at the farm just a couple weeks ago, and they were from Trinidad, and they told me some things I didn't know about the leaves, which is that it's excellent to dry them and then use that for a tea. And she was saying it's known in their area to be a very medicinal uses and excellent for your kidneys. Every year we sell a decent amount of the leaves to some of our restaurant customers, and they use it as seasoning in some of their fish dishes. We also have found that a good number of the bar managers will buy it because it's got such a distinct floral, lemony, citrus flavor to the leaves and the calyx that they really can do different infusions and craft some beautiful cocktails with it.
So when you say that they make teas out of hibiscus teas, this is what they're using when they're making hibiscus teas then, not a traditional, what we think of as a big hibiscus tropical flower.
Correct. That was something that I learned early on and is kind of a misnomer, is some misinformation. If we've been to the Caribbean, we see those beautiful hibiscus flowers. They're absolutely gorgeous. But what I have come to learn is that the hibiscus flower that we think of has nothing to do with hibiscus tea. It's actually the calyx, and there's very small buds just starting to form on these plants now. And once they flower, those petals will drop, and then it will form the distinctive deep red calyx that then is dried or used fresh to make hibiscus tea. I'll have to ask the next time I run into one of my customers from one of the countries that's more familiar with it if they also call it hibiscus tea or something different. It's a unique plant. It does very well. It is relatively low maintenance. We don't really have much insect problem with it, a little bit of Japanese beetle issue, but what we've also found is it is so prolific and grows so well in our hot summer that it can withstand some insect pressure. We don't really get concerned. As you can see behind it is okra, and you can even see some leaf damage from insects on the okra. And it's the same, both are in the same family, the mallow plant family, but it's a wonderful crop to experiment with. It is very unique. Many people are not familiar with it. Many of us that are tea drinkers are familiar with hibiscus tea, but the actual sorrel plant or roselle plant, whatever you want to call it, is a neat thing. And it's also a beautiful plant with these gorgeous red stalks. So in addition to your garden, you know, it's going to beautify your landscape as well.
And so you're probably not going to find this walking into any local garden center or nursery. So we're probably going to have to order, like you said, you start it from seed, but they could also probably order some cuttings offline also, probably.
Correct, yeah. We typically have got a couple seed companies, one local, where we can find a couple different varieties of the seed for it, and we start it that way. But then there's probably some local garden centers or farm stores, as well as online, where you could order transplants. And I would probably recommend, if you can't start your seed early in the late winter to get a head start on it, is to try and find a transplant.
Well, thank you so much, John, for talking to us today about red roselle. For more information about red roselle tea, follow this link to a recipe from University of Florida Extension. For more information about growing roselle in your garden, talk to a master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Ed Olson. See you next time.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Coming up on Heart of the Home, a black garlic pappardelle. We hope you'll stay with us.
With a sweet and tangy twist, black garlic pappardelle is perfect for your next dinner get-together. Chef Tammy shows us how easy it is to make from the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen, and welcome to Heart of the Home. Today I'm going to show you guys a rather unique ingredient to work with. It's one of my favorites, and it is black garlic, believe it or not, and this is what it looks like. Not only are we going to cook with it, but I'm going to show you how to actually make it homemade if you'd like. First of all, once it's done, quote-unquote, fermenting, it does turn black in the colors that I've already shown you. But you want to start with a fresh head of garlic, or a bulb as they call it, and you want to start with foil, and you want to wrap that up. Then you want to double wrap it with plastic wrap. I know that kind of sounds a little counterintuitive, but this is what works. In the past, when I've tried this recipe, I didn't do the plastic part, and the garlic ended up firming up, and I ended up drying it and having to grate it for garlic powder. Definitely I used it, it was great. But what I'm looking for is a nice, soft, nutty texture here. And the way you do this homemade is you actually use a bit of a rice cooker, something that can be at a very low temperature. Your nicer, fancier rice cookers might not go to the temperature you need, but if you can find a less expensive one, like this one I actually got at a thrift store, it needs to be about 140 degrees. Once you've wrapped your garlic in foil and plastic, you put it in the rice cooker, and then you actually want to wrap the top of the rice cooker in foil as well. There is a top there. And then you just want to turn it on warm, and it should be about 140 degrees, and you want to plug it in. Now here's the kicker. It needs to be on for about 2 weeks. Some people don't feel very comfortable with leaving appliances on that long, and I totally understand it. And just to let you know, you can buy black garlic in some of the stores. So you don't have to do this on your own, but if you wanted to try it, this is a great way to learn. I actually put mine in a storage building that has electricity. I leave it on that very low temperature for 2 weeks, and it comes out perfect. Some people put these in their garages and things like that, basements even. But you do want to be prepared that whatever area you do leave it in, you're going to smell garlic, which might not necessarily be a bad thing. But today we're actually going to cook with the garlic, and I'm so excited. A simple recipe, very easy to do. We're going to be tossing a sauce with some pappardelle that we've already got cooked over to the side. I'm going to turn the heat off just a little bit. You want to start out with some shallots. Get those into your pan. I've probably got my heat on a little high, so I have turned it down. You don't want them to get crispy, but you do want them to be somewhat soft. Going to move those around. They're going to become translucent very quickly. Nice little thinly sliced shallots. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit more. Now the garlic, when you work with it, when you pull it out of the cloves or out of the skins, it looks exactly like this. It's going to be nice and brown once we pull it out of the foil and the plastic, and you pull those skins off. What you want to be aware of is this is going to be sticky, which it should be, and you should get quite a bit out of 1 head of garlic. This particular recipe calls for a ½ cup of cloves, which turns out to be about 2 heads. So depending on how often you cook with the black garlic, you might want to put several bowls in your rice cooker. So we've got a little ½ cup here. Your recipe is going to tell you to chop it. It's a little hard to chop because it is so soft. I tend to more mash it when it gets into the pan, but we'll do a little bit of a rough chop. You can see it sticking to my knife blade, so you can imagine how sticky it is. What's fantastic about this flavor is that it's sweet. It really just, the garlic just sweetens right up once it's fermented. All right, we're going to come back to our pan and add it to the shallots that have sauteed down. No, I did not chop that very long, as you saw, but we're going to cook it down a little bit with a spatula. You can even get into that pan with a potato masher if you'd like. It makes it a little easier. Move this wine out of the way. And I actually don't mind leaving it in the larger chunks. I feel like they offer just a lovely pounce of flavor there. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. I'm going to turn the heat back up because we're getting ready to add some wine. You know, and the rule of thumb is do not cook with any wine that you're afraid to drink. I have a nice little Pinot Grigio waiting for me over here. All right, now, rule of thumb here, if you have a gas range, you really never want to add alcohol to the edge of the pan. If you do, you're going to have a nice little show. It gets kind of scary. You want to always add alcohol to the center of a pan so you don't have the flame. And there we go. Going to let that kind of come up to temp a little bit. And then we're going to add in some butter and a little salt. And then we're going to add some pappardelle pasta that's already been cooked. Wow. Gosh, I wish you guys could smell this. All right, let's add in that butter. Swirl that around. That finishes off our sauce. Turn the heat back up just a bit because I want that alcohol to cook off just a hair, not much. Anytime you finish a sauce with butter, that just really adds So much flavor. So I'm going to hit this now with a little bit of salt and pepper. Wine is cooking nicely there. All right, I'm going to step over here and grab my pasta. We're using a Pappardelle, tagliatelle. They're kind of the same. It's a wide noodle. You could get away with egg noodles if you wanted. Certainly any pasta will do. I really love doing it with the wider noodle. So we're going to add the pasta to the pan. We've cooked about a pound of pasta. I personally like a lot of sauce, so I'm not going to add the entire pound to the sauce. Going to get that nice and mixed in. All right, now I'm going to move this to a serving dish, and we're done. And then if you so desire, you can hit that with a little bit of chopped parsley, give it a little bit of a green color, nice little vibrant color. And there you have it, black garlic pappardelle. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from The Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Garlic is a staple in kitchens around the world and is featured in a wide variety of cuisines. As a member of the onion family, it's a vegetable that requires a bit of patience to grow. Garlic takes about 9 months to fully mature, making fall the perfect time to plant your cloves. Mulching heavily helps insulate the soil during the winter, and after just a couple of months, the little cloves begin their transformation into full bulbs. By summer, you'll be harvesting your very own Virginia-grown garlic.
The birthplace of America's first commercial peanut crop, Sussex County is bursting with cotton bolls and peanut pods and is growing a new generation of farmers. Located in southeastern Virginia, Sussex County is known for its deep agricultural roots and delicious comfort food. Behind me is the Virginia Diner, which has been serving up Southern cooking for almost a century. Join us as we meet the farmers behind this county's key crops, cotton, tobacco, peanuts, and soybeans, and see how agriculture is woven into the fabric of this community.
Agriculture here is a way of life for a lot of folks, and it's really ingrained in the culture. We grow anything from corn, soybeans, cotton, peanuts, wheat, tobacco, and there is some vegetable production here as well. So it's pretty diverse.
Sussex County Agriculture Extension Agent Elizabeth Cooper works with farmers to strengthen their operations and connect them with current research. When we visited, she was helping soybean producer Jamie Coral look for pests in his crop.
My wife, my son, and myself, we raised 500 acres of soybeans. And I'm a first-generation farmer. My dad was not a farmer. And farming is something that I always wanted to do. And so I raised my first crop when I was 16 years old. And hadn't been easy, but we're still at it.
Coral's 2 children are following in his footsteps.
My daughter Jessica, she is 25, and she is now a farm loan officer for USDA. I'm proud that she is in the agriculture field as well. My son Justin, he is 18. He just graduated from high school, and he has always wanted to farm as well.
Coral says that although low soybean prices and wet weather have made this growing season challenging, he remains resilient.
You know, some people, they're going to look at it in a negative way. Then there are other people that are going to look at it in a positive way. At that time, at 16 years old, I wanted what I wanted, and I wanted to do what I wanted. Today, it takes a lot of faith, and I know it does. And I have faith in God, and I have faith in agriculture that this will work, and it will continue to work.
In central Sussex County, another first-generation farmer, Wyatt Cox, raises cotton, soybeans, and peanuts.
It's just a desire, is all I can say. This is my 30th crop year that we planted this year and growing, and It's just a dream I had, and we started from nothing and it moved up and established ourselves pretty well, I think.
Cox says things were different when he started.
A whole lot cheaper. The price of the equipment, the price of the input cost for the peanuts, I mean, everything had just skyrocketed. And the sad part about it, we're getting the same price for our crop right now that we were getting 30 years ago. The only difference is with the varieties and the great breeding program that we have through the Tidewater, AREC, and peanut producers is the varieties. We're making so much more. When I first started growing peanuts, if you made 2,000 pounds of peanuts, you were hitting a home run. And now if we don't have any less than 4,800 pounds, we're very disappointed.
That's per acre, a dramatic increase in productivity. According to the latest Census of Agriculture, there are 106 farms in Sussex County, covering 69,562 acres. The market value of agricultural products is $64.5 million. Grains grown here earn $19.3 million, and cotton accounts for $9 million. Other crops, including peanuts, bring in $3.4 million. Wyatt Cox's son Jordan raises 185 acres of cotton, along with peanuts, soybeans, and cattle.
How I got involved is just helping my dad over the years. Growing up, he's first generation, I'm the second generation. I just got my start, as a young age, helping him, doing stuff around the farm and just working my way up through there, and just realized it was something I always wanted to do. I feel like it's just a drive for it. I mean, there's nothing else I'd want to do versus farm.
Randy Everett shares this same passion, raising tobacco, peanuts, cotton, soybeans, corn, and wheat in the Old Hickory community in far northwestern Sussex County.
The history was in front of me as I came up. I was just interested, and my father took on the operation of Old Hickory Farms in 1989, and as soon as I got home from school, I was going to find him, whether it be, at the tobacco barns or on a cotton picker or whatever. I was just always interested.
Everett is the only tobacco producer in Sussex County. This year's harvest is already well underway.
Our later planted tobacco appears to be very good, but of course, with tobacco, you're always dependent on good weather. So we've got a good crop in the field on the last 50 to 60%, but we've got to get it harvested.
And once the tobacco is harvested, it will be cured in barns for several days before being baled and sold.
I'm just grateful to be able to tell an agricultural story. I'm the sixth generation, and to have a heritage and a legacy that I can tell people about and share with my children and my family, that's really gratifying. And I hope that I'm able to continue to do it and be an advocate for agriculture.
From Sussex County, Virginia, I'm Elijah Griles.
We're so glad you could join us to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we're proud to say that this is real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.